All right, guys, welcome back to the Crit Hit Wild character review section of the podcast. Just to remind you, if you are listening to this on YouTube or watching this on YouTube, rather, we do have a full version of the podcast that is released to Spotify, Apple, Google, anywhere that you kind of listen to podcasts. You can find us just under Crit Hit Wilds. Myself, Brad, Fred, and Brandon give terrible hot takes, cover the news, talk about hobby, talk about games that we've been playing and what we've been doing lately. So if you want to listen to that
Talk
and
about math.
talk about math, we talk about all sorts of stuff. So every once in a while, you'll hear a conversation about Danny Trejo and Mean Girls. That's sometimes that happens. But yeah, if you want to get that feeling that you're in your after game night talk outside of your local shop, give that a listen. But this week we're taking a look at Skurge the Executioner. So a recently, excuse me, released Asgardian model. They haven't updated the document for affiliations, but I think it is fairly safe to say that this model is Asgard affiliated. But yeah, Scourge the Executioner, he's sitting on a 4-3-2 stat line. 2 is a little bit interesting there for Mystic. He's 6 stamina on his healthy side, 5 on his injured. He is a 3 threat character, and he's size 2, medium move. He has a Battle Axe flat 1 power builder, which is 6 dice, so pretty good there, with a Wild Bleed attached to it. His spender is called the Executioner, which is a range 3 attack. It is 8 dice for 4 power cost, and if the target character has bleed, you can reroll up to 2 dice during the attack, and this also has a wild bleed trigger attached to it. So good synergy with Heimdall there, letting him reroll up to 4 dice for this attack, as well as I think it's a little bit of synergy with Hela because she puts out bleed pretty consistently. So he has a 3 power active superpower, Storm Giant Strength. Choose an interactive terrain feature size 3 within 2 and throw it small. He has the reactive superpower that costs 2 right hand man. When an enemy character within 2 of this character targets another ally character with an attack, you can use it. You become the target. So it's the in your face bodyguard. He has the passive aggressive superpower, so after an attack targeting him is resolved, if he took damage, he can advance short.
I heard it too,
What?
Fred.
Yeah, he where whenever someone does something wrong, he will just sort of let it happen and scoff and walk away in a way that's very passive aggressive.
Did I say? Oh, I see. I see. I didn't even catch it. Shit. Yeah, he's so passive aggressive. How about that? Look at what AMG did. They made it funny. Yeah, and then he has the traditional Asgardian superpower, which power phase he gains 1 additional power. And again, the only change to his flip side is he does go down in 1 stamina point. So, excuse me. We'll kind of go over Scourge and talk about what we think about him. He does come with 2 specific to him Taxis cards, so we'll also cover those. Geez, excuse me. And maybe see if that kind of ups his value a little bit if he's bringing anything with his tactics cards. But yeah, what do we think about Scourge the Executioner? We'll start with you, Brad.
Oh, great, me. So my big issue with Heimdall was he was not going to have enough power. Scourge is worse. Scourge doesn't even have a true builder. He's going to be making like 3 power a turn, so he'll get to like throw stuff unless he's being attacked. But you have to pick whether you want to throw or bad bodyguard. Both good abilities. You'll probably get to Executioner once you've been dazed. Maybe you'll get to do it a second time before you die, unless you're just not doing anything else. But for a 3-pointer, that's all pretty okay. I don't know. I just keep thinking about Valkyrie, and he looks bad compared to Valkyrie.
Okay.
Worse than Valkyrie.
What do you think, Brandon?
Uh, I really sorry. I had my mic muted for a second.
I like the. I thought that was just you were just gonna leave it at that.
No, I was doing some research to make sure. So there are only oh god, I gotta go through like two more characters just to make sure I'm not missing anyone. Um, but there are only two other 3-point characters that roll 6 dice on a free attack. Do you know those two other characters?
Oh, let's see. There there are two other 3 threats that do 6.
That throw 6 dice on a free attack.
I don't know, not off the top of my head.
Can't think of any.
Yeah, I can. No idea.
Shuri
Oh, yep, there it is.
throws 6 dice on her Panther gauntlets, which only do
Can
a
only
max
do
of
one
one
damage.
damage.
Right,
Does
that
not
doesn't really count.
does push, range 5, and then ant-sized uppercut on Ant-Man is range
Oh, that's right.
1,
Yeah,
6 dice.
yeah. I never forget
Um,
about that.
I think his attacks are both very good. I do understand where Brad's coming from. I think this model was mimicked off of Valkyrie in the aspect of so like he has aggressive instead of charge. Uh, I really like the bad bodyguard, um, and having the option to throw is very nice, and now becomes very prevalent with Asgard because most of your models now are throwing. Um, I think getting stuck in the world of like power. I think a lot of threes struggle with power. I don't think that's necessarily an uncommon
I
thing.
think he's gonna struggle way worse than most threes.
I think he's going to be in the mix a lot more. I think like he's going to get a lot of play. The being able to bad bodyguard, taking a little bit of damage, and having access in Asgard to both Odin's blessing and like med pack, and even field dressing. Um, Obviously, you might not want to be doing all those things with him, but just having access to him, I think are going to keep him around a lot. I especially when you only have really two. I don't think, like I said, and the throw is one of those things for him. Now in this affiliation, Thor has a throw. Angela has a throw. Is it on attack or does she not have a throw?
She
Yeah,
has
she
a
has a
terrain
throw.
only throw.
Yeah, so she has a terrain only throw. Valkyrie also has a throw.
Hmm.
So now you have
Loki
four.
has a throw.
I hadn't got that far. I'm on Enchantress. Enchantress has a throw. Um,
I think all of them, but
Loki has a
Hela, and Loki. I don't think Loki has a throw, does he?
Loki does not have a throw.
Yeah, so
He
Loki.
doesn't.
No. If he does,
He's
it's
half
hidden somewhere.
ice giant.
Yeah,
Why
if
didn't
he
he have a
does,
throw?
it's hidden in somewhere. I don't have Hela in my list because I'm not bringing her up.
I can tell you she
Uh,
doesn't have a throw. So it's just her and Loki. So I mean that's pretty good, right? Like an entire
Heimdall
faction of
also
character.
doesn't have a throw.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Uh, but either way, I don't. So that's kind of my point. I don't think you're going to be relying on him to have that throw. I think that's kind of like a luxury. So I think you're really spending your power on the executioner and right hand man. Um, you can do the executioner on turn 2.
If you do nothing else,
If you don't have to bodyguard, which you're probably not bodyguarding on 1, so sitting up on turn 2, being able to battle axe for 6 dice if you give the bleed, and now you can re-roll and roll 8 dice, um, and have a power left over. So then guess what? You can do it next turn after your battle axe. So I mean, obviously, I think that will hurt him like splash wise. I don't know if because like you want to throw more. But I think him being able to hold bodyguard up and executioner on a regular basis, also executioner being range 3 is awesome. I feel like as someone who's played a lot of Black Dwarf, when people massively overlook all the time that Black Dwarf's spender, which is very similar to this, range 3, 8 dice for 4 power with stagger, um, and he's a 4 threat character. It's pretty good. So I think the power economy is honestly fine for a 3-threat character. I don't think he'll struggle as much as Brad thinks he will. But I think a lot of that is kind of staring at that throw, and I think you kind of ignore that. I think that's something he'll only really be using in a pinch, because I do think with you're playing a lot of Thor, you're playing a lot of Angela, you're playing a lot of Valkyrie when you're playing Asgard. Um, their throws are going to be a lot more prevalent probably than than Scourge's. I think Scourge is going to be used a lot as a bodyguard and beat stick, which I think is fine. And aggressive is going to help him. I'm really glad because when I read this card for the first time, I read aggressive and I got really scared that he had a small move. And oh my god, I was like, thankfully not the case. So medium move with aggressive, it's pretty good. I like that. I know She-Hulk has that, and it's real good on She-Hulk.
It is really
Obviously,
good on She-Hulk.
completely different, but just being able to be like, yeah, you know what, I will come towards you, especially with that range too. It's just kind of like it kind of prevents. It also kind of prevents those like pushes. Being able to come right back on the point is really really good, and I think that's something that he kind of will excel in because you can't really push him off a point. There's very few medium-sized pushes, so.
All right. Well, what do you think, Fred?
I'm a little bit more up on this guy. I think. Do you know what I see when I see what he has? I see a functional crossbow. This guy, what his job is gonna be to get in the middle and beat face and be bad enough of a threat that your opponent can't just ignore him. He's 3 points, which is on the cheap end for an Asgardian, and you can probably just let him get killed and not feel like you're out too much in the game. And while he's drawing attention and perhaps literally pulling attacks away from more important models, your more important models get to do work. I like him. I'm I feel like what Brandon was saying is absolutely correct. Like I think the spender is going to get used a little bit more often. Brad is not wrong when he says that the power is going to be an issue, but auto
May not
getting
be as
one,
big an issue.
auto getting one. I mean, we've all thrown dice on this in this game, and sometimes when you've got a builder that gives you power for damage, and you roll dice and you blank out when you really needed that power. Sometimes you wish you just auto got one, and just having it be standard one is nice.
Yeah.
I love the
I'm
auto.
not
I
saying
do
that's
love the
better.
auto.
It's not better, but it is.
They didn't
It's
have to
nice.
give us any energy for the fact that it actually deals damage on a 3-point character and gives you 6 dice. Like 6 is a lot. Like let's not
Yeah.
like for a free attack. Like if he had a 6 dice builder, this conversation we'd be talking about this character being like semi broken at 3-threat.
Yeah.
Like a lot of
I
fours don't
agree.
even have 6 dice builders. So
Yeah, I mean,
uh,
having a 6 dice builder almost, like if it was a true builder, that would pretty much, like you're consistently probably looking at doing 2 points of damage, right?
I think it's like 2.6 or something like
And
that.
him
So
being an Asgardian, if you're up in the fray, if it was a true builder, he could probably consistently be able to battle axe immediately into executioner, like every turn.
Yeah.
So,
and you can
Yeah.
honestly play it that way to where if you're not using the other ones, you can kind of basically do that every turn anyway. And it's just that combination too, like being able to bodyguard, like save some damage, um, in an affiliation with Odin's Blessing, um, and then you have your 2 restricted cards, so you also then immediately have access to like say a med pack field dressing, or whatever you want to do there. Like you can have 3 healing cards. And I think when we talked about Thor, that was one of the issues we talked about. Is sometimes it just feels like he just dies, and same thing with Angela. Now you have a bodyguard in faction that can hit hard for a 3-threat character. Like he's hitting hard.
Yeah,
And
I think, and
and then you can
that's the
splash
most
an
important.
Okoye at 2 points, so now you have 5 threat wrapped up into 2 bodyguards that are going to do a lot of work. Um, and now you have 3 playable threes in faction that are very very good.
Yeah.
I think it's really really big for Asgard. I'm really excited about it. I'm gonna throw it down in the dirt forever. Like 14 points with Asgard playing Thor, Valkyrie, Heimdall, and Scourge is scary. I
I
think
agree. Yeah.
about that now. Like, yeah, I don't want to play against that. Like, if I'm playing against someone and I'm not paying attention to what they're playing and they flip sword, I'm usually like, okay, whatever, we'll play. If then we do end up playing 14, it's like, okay, cool, we'll do that and whatever. And then all of a sudden, if they put that out, it's like, all right, cool. I don't know how to win this game with most factions. I think most affiliations are really going to struggle with that. Um, and I think it just brings a lot to that affiliation. I think these are 2 perfect models to get this affiliation right back into the limelight.
I I mean, I think that all of you have said some pretty good things about Scourge. Like, I think that he is super serviceable in Asgard. I think that the power generation is, I mean, it's not the best, but I see from like giving him a 6 dice, I understand why he doesn't have like a true builder. Like, it always kind of feels a little bit rough. I think that the only flat power gain that feels good is on any character that's rapid fire. But I think that he's pretty decent. I think that he's really, really good in Asgard. Him having that 6 threat battle axe, to Brandon's point, really makes him be a threat on the field because you can't just let a character like that go around smacking things with 6 dice and not have to deal with them. I mean, Nebula taught me that. Granted, she gets rerolls, but cheap models
I
that
mean,
can go around rolling big dice pools is frustrating and scary. So
quick note: you can also just battle axe twice. You have aggressive up to move into like territory of like bodyguard, and then every turn you can bodyguard twice in that scenario.
yeah, well, the one thing that I like about him is that he's an Asgardian, so he always has right hand man online, like always. So even if they choose to ignore him, sometimes you can get in odd situations with like Luke Cage, where you put him up there and you might be just power short or something like that because maybe you've thrown or you've done something. You might be a power short. Uh, I know specifically if you go up to interact with him, you'll interact and then like next turn you won't be able to bodyguard or bad bodyguard I should say. With Scourge you're always going to be able to do it, so it's nothing to like double move up, interact, and the next turn be able to right hand man immediately. So it can be very after your placement turn 1, it can be very annoying for your opponent going into round 2. Um, aggressive is
That
good.
bodyguard's also becoming the norm, right? Like we haven't got a good
Like
bodyguard in ages, right?
taunting, yeah. Like I think these taunting bodyguards are the only
I
kind that
think
we've been receiving.
Colossus was the last one we got.
Oh, okay, yeah. I forgot about
Yeah.
Colossus. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and then before that, was it a Koye? Is there only 3?
Uh,
Is it just Steve, Okoye, and Colossus
no. So
with the good bodyguard?
with the good bodyguard, okay. So
I know the bad bodyguard's pretty common now at this point.
no,
Those seem
She-Hulk has good
does She-Hulk
bodyguard.
have good.
Yeah, She-Hulk.
And to be fair, thematically, the bad bodyguard makes the most sense, right?
Red
Like they
Skull has reverse bodyguard.
Yes.
So I don't know if you count that or not, but
also
that's
very
something.
much on theme.
Yeah. Uh, but yes, I mean Scourge is good, right? I think right hand man is excellent on him. I do think it like I like that he has 4 physical defense. Um, so if you bodyguard or you right hand man like the right attacks, I think he comes pretty sturdy. Um, I don't know. Aggressive is good. Like it's a good ability. I feel like most of the time, like I feel like aggressive could be so much more, but the models that they choose to put aggressive on, I don't care for. Like Crossbones is Like, yeah, he's got aggressive, but he's small moves, so he's kind of ignore him.
You
She-Hulk
don't ever
is
have to acknowledge him.
yeah, She-Hulk is really really good. You try to hit She-Hulk. Um, I mean, she's gonna get up in your face, and I mean, she's a good piece for it. Sabretooth, like because he has Brad might have to help me out. What's the retaliation attack called?
Uh, I don't remember.
Well, Sabretooth can clap you back. I'll look that up here in a second. But when you
I'll
damage
look it
him,
up.
he can swing back. So that makes aggressive a little bit more compelling on him, I guess. But like even still, I don't know that I really like care for it. Like it's nice that he has
It
it,
is
but
called
Untamed Force.
Untamed Force.
yeah. So that's compelling, I guess, on Sabretooth. But even then, I'm still kind of like meh. So I'm kind of like eh on this guy. But or not met on him, but I met on him having aggressive. But Storm Giant Strength is good when you kind of want to finish a character off. The thing that I think probably sticks out the most for me,
If I could trade aggressive for damage reduction in a heartbeat.
I wish
Uh,
that he could have damage reduction because I know that in his fluff he is supposed to be a little bit because of his heritage. He's supposed to be a little bit faster and a little bit more durable than some of your like more standard Asgardians. So I wish that he to play into theme. I wish that he did have a charge similar to Valkyrie, and I wish that he did have damage reduction. I think I would also prefer it instead of aggressive, but he doesn't. But
He kind of does.
a little bit.
I don't mind aggressive. I think the problem is if he would have came out before Valkyrie, you'd see these things on like kind of a different Valkyrie. I think if he had a charge, it'd be way too similar.
That's fair. I tell you the thing that probably sticks out the most to me with him is that I see him with these attacks at 3 threat, and I'm like, this is the perfect like Doom Prophecy guy.
Yeah.
So like after he gets flipped, rolling 12 dice executioners with
And Battle Axe.
yeah 10 dice battle axe and 12 dice executioner with potential of reroll 4. Seems pretty good. Like I liked it on Valkyrie. I might like it on Skurge a little bit more because I think Fred said it earlier. Like if you kill him, like I'm happy if you kill Skurge over any like some of my other Asgardians. Like you don't want to be losing Thor. Like he's like a linchpin to your affiliation. I mean, you don't want to lose like Enchantress. She can move people off points. She can steal
Also, the
objectives.
affiliation heals, right?
Yeah,
That just dawned on me. So like
yeah,
you
you
can
can play one
play
heal.
like you have the affiliation to heal plus Odin's Blessing plus like med pack plus field dressing like
They can be super durable, but for whatever reason, in my experience, oh my people keep dying still.
I'm not saying that's not gonna happen. It's just like it just dawned on me. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good. But yeah, I think Doom Prophecy on him is going to be pretty nuts, and you don't give a shit if he dies. So I don't know. I think it's interesting, but unless anybody has anything else they would like to touch on for his actual card, I'm going to go into the tactics cards really quick just to touch on those. All right, so we'll look at the first one, which is Meet My Executioner. This involves Enchantress and Skurge. So you'll be taking Enchantress, and I don't know that you take her in every match, but she's pretty strong still, even after the changes, and she has great control with Siren's Call. So Meet My Executioner is reactive. It is unaffiliated, in case you would be taking both in another affiliation, but
I I think you might because I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that he is also Cabal with Enchantress.
oh, okay, fair enough. Okay, cool. Yeah, so this is unaffiliated. When another allied character would suffer a collision, Enchantress may spend 2 to pay this card. Place an allied Scourge, the Executioner, within range 1 of the character suffering a collision. Scourge suffers the collision instead. During this collision, if Skurge takes damage, reduce the amount he suffers by 1. So a few things to note about this card. Uh, Clearly, it says Enchantress pays it, which is 2 power, but she's Asgardian, so unless you've done something early in the round, it's always online, which is nice. There is no range requirement for her to be like near the person taking the collision or nearby for Scourge. So no matter where she's at on the board, she just pays 2. This can take effect. Place
Scourge can
Scourge. Oh,
Scourge can teleport any distance.
yeah, it's any distance. He just has to be within range 1, so he can also fly anywhere across the board. And then, of course, he reduces the damage by 1, which he was rolling 4 physical defense, so he's pretty decent into
And
collisions. And there's no minimum,
it's a minimum.
so you can take it to 0. So I think
I,
this is like a it might be a better brace.
There's also a fun little thing that I noticed when I reread this card this time. Another character means another character that's not Enchantress, the way that sentence is. So she can do it to Scourge.
Oh
So
yeah, so
Scourge
you could
can then
place yeah.
within one of himself and then still be the target and reduce damage. The only
Yeah.
person you cannot protect with this card is Enchantress.
Yeah,
That's fun.
that is true.
That's fun.
Yeah, I think it's a better brace. Because of, I mean, brace reduces all damage. Oh wait, yeah, it just negates all damage of the collision. But this has like such, I think it's just the positioning potential
Yeah.
is pretty crazy. Like this is like a not as good like mothership or something is essentially how I'm looking at it. So if
It
there's a key
it
character.
would-
Oh, good.
It certainly means you don't need to waste a restricted card on Brace if you're playing as Guardians.
Yeah, but I almost like it. Like if you have brace, you have
In
brace and this.
addition,
Yeah, it
um,
just really doubles down on like the. I like that if you are playing him, and maybe in Cabal, like if he is Cabal affiliated, I could see some really cool stuff where like, but even in Asgard, like you have an opponent on like your left side of your field or something like that, really trying to kill your leader or like a really important like linchpin piece. Scourge is on the opposite side. Maybe you're kind of winning on the right side a little bit, and then they choose to do a throw, and you put Scourge on the opposite side of the board, and then he might be in range to start bodyguarding for your important piece that they're trying to kill. So I don't know. I like it.
This is a really good card against Kingpin's Criminal Syndicate. Like this is really good.
Magneto.
Like so Magneto's a lot of times playing up the middle, right? So like, and because I thought about that too. I mean, obviously, I think you take it in that matchup, but I think against like just thinking about the matchup with Criminal Syndicate where they really want to spread you out and they really rely heavily on throws, just being able to like pop someone across the table, is really good.
It's a super
The
strong
hardest
effect.
the hardest thing is going to be if you're playing Asgard, it's going to be just playing the card. Like you have Doom Prophecy, Odin's Blessing, Rainbow Bridge, and your 2 restricted cards. Like it's going to be hard just to make the cut at 5. I do, however, think if he is Cabal affiliated, that's great for Cabal.
I think that this makes your 10. I think it
100%.
100% makes your 10. I think that you only. I think that if you do play Enchantress and him, excuse me, then you like there's a good chance that you can probably bust it out, or to what like Brad was saying, like Brotherhood and stuff like that. It might just be matchup dependent. Like if you really feel like you need that extra kind of offshoot of brace for your matchup, then maybe you take it. But I think it definitely makes your 10 at least.
Because it definitely opens up your restricted cards because you can kind of take that and not really consider Brace.
Yeah,
Um,
that is true. All right, well, let's take a look at the next card, which is Weapons of Midgard. It's unaffiliated, active card. During Scourge, the Executioner's activation, he may spend 2 power to play this card. I love that all these cards cost 2 power. That just it really plays into Asgard really well. Scourge the Executioner may use the attack listed above once this activation. Excuse me. It is a beam 4 physical attack that is 5 dice. I don't really care for it. I guess. Well, okay, I take that back.
It's fun. It's just not competitive.
Well, I like it if you're in your Doom Prophecy turn. So that takes you to a beam 4 9 dice attack. So
I didn't even think about that.
that's
For 5
I don't
costs,
think that's worth it.
it's probably not worth it.
I don't think this card ever makes a 5 in a tournament game.
I think you're probably right.
That's where I.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, I don't see how this fits. I mean, it's fun, and it'll be fun to play in like a casual game, but it just doesn't do enough to be worth the slot.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. Like, I think it's a fun card. Like, you can have some fun with it. Like Doom Prophecy, and then you play this. But that's like so much power. I guess it's only 5 power, but it's like to facilitate. I don't know. I don't think it's worth it. It probably doesn't make your 10. If you're looking at it from a competitive standpoint, in a fun game, absolutely. Competitively speaking, this probably does not make it in there. On average, I don't like any of the attack cards that cost you your action, because none of them ever seem worth it. The exception to that is Helios Laser and Ricochet Blast. I think both those are worth it. But on average.
Well, if you're gonna play Crossbones, the Crossbones one is worth it.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, illicit tech too.
Yeah.
Those are the 3. Thank you for that. Yeah, those are 3 cards that are worth it.
But why are you playing Crossbones?
You might be playing Sin. She can use it too.
Yeah.
So
I don't think it's as good with her.
it's not. I mean, it's better for Crossbones, but you're probably not playing Crossbones. So then, I mean, if you play Sin, yeah,
Hey,
maybe it gets taken.
if this guy's Cabal affiliated, if Scourge is Cabal affiliated, he's gonna eat even more of Crossbones' lunch.
Yeah.
I will say, if he is Cabal affiliated, this is a good way for him to generate 3 to 4 power.
He doesn't generate power.
Well, if he's Cabal, every time that you do damage with an attack, you get a power.
Sure.
We're really grasping at straws, though, to talk about this card. It's not a great card. We don't
play it
really
in your fun matchups, but don't bring it to a tournament.
Fair enough. All right, so looking at his tactics cards, between the two of them, Meet My Executioner is probably the more compelling choice. So looking at, we'll factor in Meet My Executioner, and then the rest of his cards, we can kind of go into the ratings. So who would like to start?
Me.
Go ahead.
C.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if he's Cabal affiliated, he'll be playing Asgard and Cabal, and both will probably like playing him. Other than that, he won't see play.
What do you think, Fred?
I'm looking more at the B. I don't think he's. No, I'm standing by B. I think B is more where I feel like
He's
is.
above average.
I feel like he does what I want to do.
He's
which
above
is
average.
go up and punch. Hey, also, my rating system is not based on anything. I just put him wherever I feel like I want to put something that day.
And that's the God's honest truth.
That is the God's honest truth.
All right, what do you think, Brandon?
Yeah. I think I like him more than everybody else. Just like Heimdall. I disagree with Brad. I actually think he could see some splash play. The extra power. I think universally, I think the Asgardians see a decent amount of splash. Besides like Thor and like even Loki sees some splash play. Hela doesn't count. Because she just doesn't count. So I think the extra power gain is really important. Like I said, I mean, aggressive would be better if it was damage reduction, but I honestly think we'd be having a different conversation about him being probably too good at damage reduction. I mean, he has his damage reduction. He looks like Lizard, except for he gets a 6 dice attack instead of 4. And bodyguard. Like that's probably entirely too good at 3. Yeah, I like him a lot. I'm gonna give him a B plus.
Okay. I like him. I mean, I think that when you're up in the fray making attacks, he's going to feel pretty fun to play. I do enjoy his attacks. Like I think that they're really really good for a 3 threat. The rest of his kit is like a little bit boring, I guess. He doesn't really bring anything kind of new or interesting to the game. Not especially not when you compare him beside Heimdall. But I mean, you don't always need that. You don't need every character in the game to be doing a bunch of fancy shit. So he's good. I think he opens up a lot for Asgard, and just by nature of what he's going to do for them, because at the end of the day, you want all the affiliations to feel good and fun to play, and you want to see him represented in all the events and stuff. So I like what he does. It's pretty good. I like what he does for Asgard. Again, I like what he does, like opening up with him because of his threat value. So I'll give him a B minus. Did you give him a B or B plus, Fred?
I give him a B.
And what did you give him, Brandon?
B plus.
So we got a B plus, a B minus, and a C.
We're pretty spread.
It's probably the most spread we've been on any character, I think. And I don't know what this weird world that's become. I just think characters are better than the rest of you, and I'm not. I don't know. I do think Heimdall and
It's an Asgard
Scourge.
world.
Yeah, I guess. But I do think Heimdall and Scourge make Asgard like
Oh, yeah, way better.
good. Like I don't want to. I think they become like tier 2. I think that. I mean, I don't think they're like S tier like top, but I think they're gonna be at the top of the tier 2. Like I think especially those lower point games, it's gonna be hard to match up with like Thor, Valkyrie, Heimdall, and Scourge. Like I said, at 14, at 15, you can upgrade one to like Enchantress or Loki, and then at 16 now you can have an Angela, um, or an Okoye with the rest of them. I just think they're gonna bring. They have a lot of playability. Then at the higher points, being able to bring both Thor, Angela, and possibly Thor, Angela, like at 19, Thor, Angela, and the 3 Valkyrie, Heimdall, and Scourge. I think it's gonna be really, really good. I think it's gonna definitely. I think you're definitely gonna see a huge uptick in Asgard play.
What is their what's their current win percentage? Does anybody still have Longshanks pulled open?
Let me just. I did close that tab.
I'd like to.
I can look it up super quick.
Okay, I'd like to see what their win percentage is right now, and then after this release, maybe in a couple months, kind of seeing if that changes, because you know that
Asgard is 45% right now.
45%. I would not be surprised if they maybe shifted a little bit higher and they got up to like the 49, 50. Maybe not 50, but I think it'll go higher than 45.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, the problem is like going up that like high. I think it'll change if you do like a synapses. I think the overall change would be kind of tough just because like you've got to kind of it's a hard and you have to have a really good run to improve like drastic percentage points.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I don't think they're getting played a whole lot. Like, I think that they are getting played, but like Avengers and stuff probably, if they don't triple what Asgardians are getting played, I would be surprised. But I think
Avengers
also
is
play.
Avengers is almost 5 times as much.
5 times, yeah, there you go. So like they're not getting played. So I think, with new releases.
Yeah, I think
we could also
resurgence is
play
gonna
with
be
the
heavy.
data sets too.
Yeah, I think the resurgence is going to be really heavy. I think you're going to see a lot of Asgardians. I think people really like them as characters.
They're one of the lowest played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think those numbers are going to go up heavily. I mean, we haven't had an Asgard release. I mean, I don't count Angela and Enchantress, but like, I mean, like unknown Asgardians, like even like MCU or comic wise, it's kind of been a while. I mean, because Enchantress is kind of not a good guy, and then Angela is a character from a different comic franchise that was given.
Legally, it's Marvel's.
I said I did. Yeah, that was given. I said it was a gift. It was more of a spiteful gift, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
So I think this will have a huge, especially I think those are two characters that people loved in the movies. So I think we'll definitely see a pretty big resurgence in Asgard play.
All right. Well, we're looking at an average of a B. So, well, I mean, I don't know what the average. Does it take it to a B or B minus? Either way, it's in the Bs. For Scourge, so he's probably around the middle tier of three threats, maybe a little bit on the upper side of three threats, but I mean probably mostly in the middle. He does some good things, but he doesn't shake things up too much. But we can move on to comic book talks. I think Brad probably has some recommendations for us if you want to check out more about Scourge.
I do. Let me bring up my notes. Okay. So Scourge, more often known as the Executioner in the comics, got 3 suggestions for you here. The first one is Journey into Mystery 103 by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. This is his first appearance, and he's working with Enchantress right here at the very beginning. So, first appearance. Second is Thor 362. This is from the Walter Simonson run. Probably the definitive Thor run. But Scourge joins the fight to stop Ragnarok from happening. Hela seduces him to fight by her side, and that's all I'm going to give you about the issue. There's some twists and turns in there. Read it for yourself. The final one is Thor Giant Size Special number 1 by Matt Fraction, Dan Brereton, Doug Braithwaite, Mike Allred, and Ma Sepulveda. The tale of the executioner is told by those that fight beside him, but everyone's version is slightly different. What could be going on? Is it Loki? Is it something else? Read the issue, find out.
I like the way you presented that one. That was nice. He gets manipulated a lot, right? Is that probably where the two mystic
I think
defense?
so, yeah.
That's,
I think he does.
that's why two mystic defense is on the card, is because of that.
Yeah.
I would guess. All right.
I think anytime he's working with Enchantress, that's like his decision, but pretty much anyone else, and he's being manipulated.
Well, he's in love with her, right? In that kind of little bit of the story there,
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's correct from what little Thor I have read.
All right. Well, thank you for those recommendations, and for the last section for our character review / deep dive, we have Fred's non sequitur recommendation. So go ahead, Fred.
Yeah. So
I hope this is Barbie.
I'd like. No, unfortunately not. Hey, Jared, I have a question for you.
I'm so
What's your
excited.
first thought when you look at that axe that he's holding in the art on his card?
What's my first thought when I look
Your
at
first
the
thought,
axe?
like your knee jerk thought.
He's holding an axe.
Yeah, my knee jerk thought was that's the axe of Godric the Grafted.
Oh, I see where you're going.
and-
Okay, yeah.
And I'm going to give a recommendation that was bound to happen eventually, and that's the recommendation for Elden Ring.
There it is.
So this is a game that came out this year in 2022, and it is the magnum opus from FromSoft. It is basically the perfect Soulsborne type style game, in my personal opinion, and I think that this is one of the best games ever made. I'm putting it out there, and truly is worth picking up and playing. I cannot explain to you just how much happiness you can feel in a game like when you defeat Melania Blade of Mikola.
Would you also like to state you don't know how like equally frustrated you can feel?
Uh, there are plenty of images online of TVs that have had a game controller thrown through them, and like controllers that have been beaten against a wooden table until they've broken. That is this style of game. The way that a Soulsborne game in the eyes of FromSoft works is you die until you don't die,
Yep.
and and you just keep dying until you can actually pull out a win.
Do you think that
It
Scourge
it
feels like he's the lord of all that is golden?
I think that he thinks that he is, but I think that in reality he's probably more of a pretender to the throne, aka a Godric the Grafted.
Yeah. I saw actually a
Uh,
funny clip of a rage. I can't remember if it was Elden Ring or not, but a guy threw his controller down at the floor, and he threw it so hard that it ricocheted up, hit the PlayStation, and then bounced into his TV and broke the TV.
oh
It was
jeez.
impressive, to say the least. It was very impressive.
Oh jeez. uh, everyone, go play Elden Ring. It's a lot of fun, and it's worth playing. It's great.
Thank you for your recommendation, Fred. I played Elden Ring. It is also fun, and I can recommend that everyone play that as well. I did forget, but then I remembered. Brandon, do you have a list for us this week?
Yeah, I always have a list, and I
I
don't know why
got
I
it.
make a list
I
because it's a
got it.
waste
No, no,
of
no, no,
fucking
no. I
space.
remembered this time. I remembered. Brandon has a list to play Scourge the Executioner, and if you'd
Yeah,
like to try him out, go ahead, Brandon.
a non-Asgardian list. Kind of feeding off of the power economy. I think a couple places he fits in really well. I think he fits in really well with Dormammu. I also think he fits in really well with the Inhumans, because they can give him the power off their leadership, and they need lower threat characters because you kind of always want to play Black Bolt and Medusa. I like him more in Dormammu. That's just more of a personal preference. A core of kind of Dormammu, Shadowland, Daredevil, Scourge, um, Black Cat, X-23, Enchantress, Carnage, Craven, Bullseye, Baron Mordo. Gives you that little bit of a killy effect, and also having access to the bodyguard to take big shots away from Dormammu, and to protect Shadowland, Daredevil, as well as any other important characters that are slightly more important than him. Uh,
I like
that
that
is
because he'll get 2 power from Asgardian, and then he gets an additional power
Yep.
from Dormammu, so that leaves him.
Lets
Uh,
him do
that
anything he wants every
well,
time.
that lets him do what we talked about earlier, which was after he gets up in there, he can battle axe Executioner, like every
Every time.
round, every round, yeah. So it's pretty good.
And
I I brought actually a roster
Oh
that I
Jesus,
thought of.
yeah,
let's
hell
hear
yeah,
it.
Fred. That's why I love you.
So this is just like a a 5-man roster at 17 points. And my thoughts here were you could bring Shadowland Daredevil as the leader, and you bring Black Swan with the Power Stone, you bring Scourge, then Bullseye and Winter Soldier. And that
Okay.
does technically count as being Criminal Syndicate affiliated. And you end up with a a murderous list of true violence on the table. You can have him go up with Black Swan and shunt some of the damage from her onto him with the right hand man, and you can have once that's done, he can aggressive up, cause damage, wreak havoc, and then Black Swan can charge in and do a everything dies and throw stuff around. I want to try this combination out because it
I
seems great.
I like that. What is if you get a bleed out, he gets Executioner, so that's 8 dice. Reroll 3.
Uh-huh. And you've got Winter Soldier there to put the bleed out
Yep.
if you get a wild on one of his gunshots.
That comes
So
up way more than you would think it would.
it really does.
He puts out bleed left and right at range 5. So good.
Yep.
I also have a list.
No, now you're trolling.
at us.
I know you're trolling.
No,
You're not
no,
trolling.
no,
You have a list.
I have a list.
Okay. Let's hear it.
I made a
Okay,
big deal last
so
week.
imagine this. Okay, start with Skurge, obviously. Add Enchantress, his right hand woman, his left hand woman, because he's the right hand man. I don't know how that works. And then you add to that Heimdall, Angela, Thor, Valkyrie. You play some of those good Asgard cards, and you play them with Asgard. It's probably pretty good.
That
like it.
is probably that's cutting edge,
I like it a
and
lot.
I don't think that a lot of people see that tech.
That was so really. I really considered Shadowland Daredevil for a list too. I do like him a lot with Shadowland Daredevil.
Yeah, with a reroll. It's nice.
I like how Brandon listened to your list. He accepted it, and then he quickly moved past it. And went back to his home of Shadowland Daredevil. Crawled back in.
I like it. It's a good world to live in. I think. I feel like we always just throw stuff at Fred, and he just loves it for Shadowland Daredevil. So I'm a big fan.
I mean, that's correct. I love Shadowland Daredevil, and I love using models with Shadowland Daredevil.
And now that we've gotten you away from always playing it with like spider foes, sometimes it's even better.
Well, I still do.
Yeah, we haven't quite got that far. That was a lie, but we're getting there. We're gonna get to a point where he has to cut some of the spider foes and actually just play straight up Criminal Syndicate.
Lies.
Lies.
I just went second in a tournament with this, so I don't even want to hear it.
All right, well, I think that wraps us up for this week. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Don't know, unless they do a character release that we're not aware of. I think we'll probably continue the Asgard trend next week. So you'll be looking at a little bit more of an old school Asgardian. But yeah, until next time, see you guys later. Bye.